Hey guys, we have Jordan here from Team Orion. He's got a deck profile he's going to show today what he went undefeated at. So let's get into the deck.
Yeah, so I played Malice. I know it's brand new, but I've been testing it for a little while. I love the deck, and obviously we love the cat as well.
Hello.
Before I do get into anything though, I want to give a big shout out to Gecko Cards. Not only are they our sponsor, they're where I get all my TCG products from anyway. You notice my sleeves and oversleeves are from there, my binders, and quite a lot of these cards came from boxes they provided. So really big shout out to Nick and the rest of the team. But yeah, into the actual list itself. So I play 3 Rabbit, 3 Dormouse, 2 Cat, 3 Field Spell, and then 1 of each of the traps. The reason I've gone for this amount is that I want to maximise on my starters. So the Field Spell, the Dormouse, and the Rabbit are all 1-card starters. Cat itself isn't, and I know a lot of players are only using 2 at the moment. And so to keep with that, having 1 to search as part of your combos, but also 1 for backup just in case. And there are occasions where you will start with this as the only Malice name in hand, and as long as you have another extender or bestial especially, you can still go full combo, which is why I do that. The traps, they are recyclable from grave, which a lot of people do forget, but White Binder can actually get them back from grave. So even though I'm only playing 1 of each, you can recycle them a lot, which isn't a problem. Now, along with that, we do have some other extenders and starters. So just for some extenders, ones you have to play, Dotscaper and Code of Soul. Dotscaper comes up as part of the main combo. You have to play the card whether you want to or not. Code of Soul is one that's a bit more flexible. It depends on the build you're going for. As you can see with mine, you probably know already what I'm going to be doing, but I am using terahertz, so it has to be in there. I'm playing 3 mining, 2 allure, and 1 gold sack. Yet again, I said about maximising starters, which is why gold sack is here. Although it might not be the name in itself, it is exactly just another underground in terms of how you start. They both do the exact same thing. Allure of Darkness is one where you just get 2 free draws, and if you have a Malice name, you can just banish it and then bring it straight back. So you can get your combo started with that, but it's not usually the best. Mining is one where people are arguing a lot on it with Small World over it. I prefer mining because of Artifact Lancia. Lancia kills the deck. You need something to keep extending through it, which is what you are for. In that case, I would use mining to get myself Code of Soul. Or if I have it in my opening hand, mining pitch Dotscaper, Dotscaper will come back. Now, along with that, I am playing a couple of defensive cards, especially given the format and how many hand traps are floating around. I am currently playing 3 Crossout Designator and 1 Talents. I've already mentioned Artifact Lancia and how big it is against this deck, but there is another hand trap which is just as dangerous, which is one of the first hand traps I will go through. Talents, everyone should know this by now. Get to look at your opponent's hand, see what they're playing. You can draw 2 cards if you're desperate, and if you go in second, you can usually just rob the best monster. So you can't really argue with those. But as I mentioned, that big dangerous hand trap, Nibiru. I played 2 because I want 1 in the deck for crossout at the very least, and if I draw 1, I've still got 1 in deck. It's also still just a generally good hand trap, especially at this early point of a new format. People haven't figured out the anti-nib lines, and with decks like Ubel and Snake Eyes going to be taking a much more of a backseat after that ban list, it's something that you might want to consider even more. I'm playing 3 Bestials. Now these are not just hand traps in the deck, they're also extenders. Like with Shavara in Ubel, these are 2 for 1. So you can, like I said earlier, banish Malice name, bring it back, and then you have 2 bodies instead of 1, and you can combo a bit further. Now obviously these aren't Cybursts, so you can't go into things like Splash Mage, but you still have a lot of options that you can do with them. Now for the last 9 hand traps, it's the standard ones that if you have them you should play them. Foalos, Ash, and Imperm. You can't, and there's not really much you need to say for that. It says exactly what you need to do. Now, on for the extra deck. Everything here is a one of. So we do have 2 Link ones, being Link Spider and Link Decoder. Link Decoder you do use as part of your main combo, and it's part of your alternate combos if you only open Cat and an extender. Whereas Link Spider is a one of if you get Nibiru'd. You need to turn that token into something, you might as well use a Link Spider. For Link 2s, there's more of these. So we've got Haggard Lizardos, Splash Mage, IP, and SP. Lizardos is part of the main combo. It banishes for cost, so it keeps your Malice engine going when you're going first. Splash Mage, I don't make that often. I prefer to use it when I have been nibbed or lanciered, because it still lets me continue my plays before passing back to my opponent. IP and SP kind of speak for themselves. However, SP in this list actually is an extender as well as a starter, because you can banish one of your Malice names, whether it be one of the links or one of the main deck monsters, to keep playing. Speaking of the Malice links, we play one of each. You don't need more than that. Each one is vital as part of your combo. Hearts of Crypta is your boss monster. It does bring itself back with 5k. White Binder, it can banish any free from either graveyard, and then it can also set a trap from grave or deck, which is why I was mentioning you only need one of each trap. It also lets you draw a card when it comes back from banishment. Red Ransom, such as the field spell. So that's part of your main combo. You do make this first, get your field spell, keep playing. Whereas White Binder comes in later, and quite often you won't make Crypto in your first turn. It's more of a going into your opponent's board, that one. Now for your bigger Link 4s, Access Code and Firewall Dragon. Access Code has a funny interaction with this deck because it banishes for cost as well, so it can bring back what it banishes. So if you do make it with Hearts of Crypta, you banish this, it comes back as a 5k body, so then you'll have 2 5k bodies on board, one of them being a non-tag in quick effect banish. Firewall Dragon you won't use as much, however it does come up in some grindy game states, especially given that your other 2 Malice links, Binder and Red Ransom, both have arrows that point to it, so you can generate a double bounce at any time. And finally, for our actual boss monster, as I mentioned earlier, we have Terahertz, and we have 3 targets for it. Coda Soul in the main deck is another target for this, being that you can just dump it and then in your opponent's turn link summon in their turn. Although 9 times out of 10, really, you will actually be going for Deceive Worm and Aggregator, because by that point you should have enough of an advantage that you don't need to do the Coda Soul play, but it's something you always want to keep available to you. Now for the side deck, we're playing the card that everyone hates, but you love to hate, Free Shifter. We're also playing Free Perulia. Shifter, I can't really say much about it that you don't already know. It is still the best hand trap in the game. It still cuts off nearly every deck from some level of play, although it does hurt Malice itself, because Malice does want to use the graveyard a lot, especially with the generic Cyberse cards, such as Splash Mage and Haggard Lizardos. So your end board is much more different under Shifter, however you can still make a very powerful end board. Now, as I mentioned earlier about the cross-out targets, we do play 1 Lancia. No one's maining this right now. It's in the side, so you know when you're going second, first, whatever you're doing, game 2, you're putting it in, because your opponent should be playing it. Then for some generic hits, we've got 2 Cosmic and 1 Harpies. Where we play locally, there's quite a few Labyrinth players, a couple of Runic players, so we need ways to get through their boards, and these are the best ways to do it. And then finally, for the last package is Frost. So 3 Frost, 1 Slayer, 1 Barrier. Mostly speak for themselves. Slayer is coming more in because of Ryzeal. You can just send the Aggregator, you can bounce the Detonator, then Aggregator will negate the field spell to stop them from playing further. Now, there are a couple of tech options that I would like to make a quick mention to, because it depends on your build, and you will notice a couple of people playing different things. So one of the link options people do go with is Cyberse Wicked, in which case they will play Mathmech Sigma. Personally, I don't like it because although it is a banish for cost, it does need to trigger, so if your opponent imperms this, the line is completely off. Although Sigma itself is a very good extender because it is a free special summon. Some people were playing Microcode at the start. It's not something that's there as much now, but if you are going into some Code Talk lines, it's something to consider. Something that is cropping up a lot more is EMP Meowmine. Meowmine is something I'm considering for later down the line myself, being a free extender and a free bounce, especially when SP banishes itself. One of the older cards that people don't really use anymore, but worth mentioning, Parallel Exceed. This is a link deck. It's 2 free bodies. Not really much more you can say than that. Yet again, it's a banish deck. Barrier is a good choice. We do have a field spell, so Terraforming is a good choice, and as is Callby. Now, some other tech cards for the extra deck, one of which you will see in near enough every list, and something I will be putting in place of the Enigmaster Pack bit, is Lingaribo. So it just stops any trap. Stop an imperm, or more importantly, stop an evenly matched. Some other choices, Dark, Transcode. Transcode is more for when you get hit by things like Lancia and Nib. You can still keep going, whereas Dark is a generic dark target, lets you bring back something from your opponent's grave. It's good for grind games, but with this deck, you don't really go into grind games that much. You usually want to have the game finished up by turn 3, maybe 4 at the latest. Some other boss monsters people have used are Nightmare Griffin and Topologic Zeraboros. I'm not playing either of these. I do not like the Griffin line at all. You play into Nib way too much, and I don't think it adds enough to the end board to warrant its position. Zeraboros is a funky one because you do banish a lot, and with the idea that you can summon any of the links to it and then you'll still be able to combo off. I have saw a couple of lines where people were making the Hearts of Crypta and then banishing it as part of this to wipe the board, and then Hearts of Crypta comes back as a 5k body to just attack straight. Personally, like I said, I'm not a big fan of that, but it is something you can do. I hope you liked this insight into the deck. We will be doing more in the coming weeks as I develop this a bit further. This is just a test build for now, but so far I love it. But yeah, again, big shout out to Gecko Cards and the rest of the Team Orion. Hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day.
Don't forget to use code Orion5 at checkout. Bye.